the best niches for 2021 leading into 2022 and beyond. I actually did a little research. I did a little preparation ahead of time, which is quite rare. Please let me know in the chat if you could hear me. I got to give a big thank you to Alex over at WP Eagle, who apparently has shared this link in his stream. So that is fantastic. And Alex, I do appreciate it. I see Zachariah. We have Electronic Earnings and Adrian, Bradbury, Simplified Gardening, a lot of folks. And I think people can indeed hear me. I'm going to just double check here. I think it does work. Oh, yeah. Okay, wonderful. So yeah, today we're actually going to go and look at some actual data. So like I said, I did a little research and I'm going to reference those specific sites. There's links in the description so that you can go and do a little bit deeper research. You can see the actual data that I'm going to be referring to, which hopefully that'll be helpful. If you don't know me, Doug Cunnington, I blog over at Niche Site Project. You can sign up for the email list, which I encourage you to do. That is a free thing. So I just send you all my templates and all my systems and a lot of other helpful information. I send you a couple emails per week. There is a link for that as well. So we'll get into some details. A lot of times with these live streams, it takes a few minutes for everyone to hop on. Notifications go out late or sometimes not at all. Not at all. Oh, Joanne is on from Canada. Very cool. Simplified Gardening. Awesome. Bradbury says that my voice sounds better today. Yes, much better today. I actually recorded a podcast yesterday, one today. Last week, I was still struggling very much. Yeah, actually yesterday I was still struggling quite a bit. I have some herbal tea here. This should help me. I have some cough drops. This should also help. We have Afnan also. And let's be techie. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I tested negative for COVID, but it sure did seem like it. I'm not really sure. Regardless, I had a cold and felt pretty bad for maybe like 5 days total, 4 or 5 days. And I had a fever for a couple days. I actually did lose my sense of smell, and it's probably still only like 25% right now, which is, it's kind of rough. It's kind of rough. So, but I am getting better and I am able to talk, which is really great. So before we get into the meat, I'm going to get the sort of pitches and ads out of the way really quick. Thanks to Ezoic, check out their Leap tool. It'll help your site load faster. It'll help you get green Core Web Vitals, very important. That tool is free for people that are monetizing with Ezoic. There's a link in the description. By the way, Ezoic recently removed any page view limitations, so there's no page view minimum. So even if you just started your site, you can get started with Ezoic, and there's a specific link in the description to take care of that for you. And the other company to thank is Otis, which I'll have a short ad whenever I need a break in a bit, but you can get age domains over there. They typically have niche relevant links. Great way to jump start your basically website and get traffic sooner, hopefully get out of the sandbox a little sooner. So I'll hit a couple of questions before we get into it. Vicus says, what's my background behind where do you live? So I'm in Colorado in the US near Boulder, technically Longmont. This is just the basement, and I have some lights around here. I have another podcast, so that's where we sit for that. If I step back, you'll actually be able to see the focus will pan out, and you can see that it's a bookshelf, a few guitars, and it is a real background. It is not fake. We sit back there and record podcast. So that's the studio down here, and I have bright lights all around me. Let's Be Techie asks if I am using Jarvis. No, I am not. And I think earlier Alex was doing a demo. Alex tells me that it works really well. I have not played around too much in depth with any of the AI tools. I, when I played around with, not Jarvis, but when I played around with three other of the sort of higher end tools, well, I wasn't impressed. It was kind of garbage. So I haven't played around, but I hear it's fantastic and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Uh, for me right now, it is not a thing, it's not solving any problem that I have. And I'm happy to pay writers a fair wage and just work with real live people that do writing. So I know, actually, I've heard that some freelance writers are using the AI tools to turn around their gigs much faster, which is interesting. It's an interesting way to use those tools, and maybe there's some route. And I think a lot of times those tools end up being useful as a first draft situation. But I have no experience. Let's be techie, and I would refer to people that do have experience like Alex. LB, Brian, what's going on? And Brian asks if I'm feeling better. I am feeling much, much better. All right. Okay, let's get into, we have about 20 some odd people here. So let's get into the niches. And LB asks, what do I think about the sports niche for ad and affiliate? So I'm going to share my screen so we can talk about some of the specifics here. And these are the best niches for affiliate marketing. That's kind of the focus, but really I'm going to go into some data that does refer to any sort of monetization. So it could be affiliate marketing with Amazon, it could be without Amazon, and it might be with display ads. And the fact is, if you're building a site, you probably should focus on one area at first and then maybe expand out and monetize in other ways, right? So I think from the get-go, you probably should have a way to monetize with ads, display ad companies, for example, directly with companies. You probably should be able to sell some items from Amazon, and you probably should be able to work with individual companies, whether they have an affiliate program that's sort of front facing in public, or have the ability to work with them directly. And it could be individual drop shippers that you build a relationship with. So the whole point here is I'm mentioning affiliate marketing because that is where some of the data comes from, but really it's display ads, Amazon affiliate, and other affiliate companies. All right. So I will quickly reference some of the core data that we're looking at. So I'm looking at Diggity marketing. So this is Matt Diggity. He has a great website, very smart guy. He published this article with data from Empire Flippers. So these are real sites that have been sold, and he was able to analyze a lot of data. Whenever a site is listed with Empire Flippers, they gather a lot of information to do the due diligence on the website. So they're looking at the revenue, where the revenue comes from, the traffic, backlinks, a lot of other data. And Matt Diggity did some great analysis. This is a long blog post, and I encourage you to check it out. So I'm going to be referring to data from here, and it's linked in the description. So thanks to Matt and Diggity Marketing. The other is Authority Hacker, really smart folks. So this has like 90 of the best niches for affiliate marketing. And this was last updated a few months ago, July. And we will refer to this sort of in a broad way, but there's 90 niches listed here, and then links to several of the affiliate programs. So a lot of data here, and it's almost too much data, and we won't be able to dig into it as much. And I feel like the best conclusions that we're able to get to are really from this Diggity marketing article, and I'll be talking about the conclusions and then some of my commentary as we answer some questions over here from the chat. And some of them are specific, just like someone asked about the sports niche. So let's get into some of the slides that I prepared. I say slides, but it's pretty basic, trust me. So this is the Authority Hacker, basically the concise list of profitable niches based on the 90 different niches that they've listed there. So again, the source is listed. You could go head over and read some of the deeper details, but they broke it down for us in a very clear way. And we see hobby niches, money niches, health and fitness, lifestyle, home and family, tech, and alternative niches. And basically, this, there's a lot of, this is a terrible slide because there's too much information on here. But basically, what this tells us is like all the niches that people often ask about, almost any of them are fine, right? So if someone says, "Hey, is a sports niche good?" Yeah, I'm sure you could find something in the sports niche. You can narrow it down so that you're dealing with like soccer and foot-oriented sports. You can go for team sports that are oriented around kids, and there's equipment and different things that you can sell and promote there. One of the things that Authority Hacker listed is sports betting and like event tickets. So that could be another angle, right? So almost any niche is going to end up being profitable as long as there's some products that are being sold, which almost sounds like a stupid sentence to say, but week after week, someone pops in, "Hey, what's the best niche for beginners?" Well, that's a really tough one to answer. So really, when I step back and my advice here is figure out, right? There's anything here, right? Health and fitness. You have weight loss, fitness, yoga, organic, nutrition, vegan. You can go deeper into the nutrition area and talk about keto, specific products. You can go supplements. You could talk about sort of the overlap between health and fitness and lifestyle, throw in nootropics and maybe like bodybuilding type supplements that are very expensive and have very good affiliate programs. So what I recommend is you think about what you're into and what your interests are. And that's hopefully not too much of a cop out, but you have to think about working on something long term. So if you pick something that you hate, so for example, I see one of the money niches, which is probably very profitable, is debt settlement. You know what's boring to me? Debt settlement and dealing with people that have like debts and they're trying to work with creditors. I don't like to deal with creditors or financiers or anything like that. And then the whole thing doesn't sound exciting to me. Could it be really profitable? Sure. But I would probably dread writing any of the content, working with any of the parties, and it would basically suck. And I would hate doing that work. So you have to think about what makes you excited. What are you going to be at least interested in? What do you want to learn about? You don't have to be an expert yet, but you have to at least have some interest to get started and think, I'm going to be working on this thing for, say, 2 to 5 years. Maybe it's much less, maybe it's much longer, but I would say that's a good timeline to look at. If you're thinking about things in a shorter timeline, you're like, how can I make a fuckload of money in 6 months? You're probably looking at, well, your priorities are probably a little bit off, and this business model is probably not a great one for you because this stuff takes a little time. If you need money quick, you're probably going to have to go get a job and do some work where you're delivering a service immediately and then you're getting paid immediately. Something like this can be a lot more passive in the long run, but in the short term, you're not going to be able to turn your time and capital investment into a recurring, reliable monthly income in like 6 months. Sure, we could find examples where people are able to do it, but most of the time it's going to take a little longer. So, with that said, going back to this list here, the concise list of great niches, there's tons of them. There's a lot of things. You got web hosting, WordPress, you got VPN, this is the tech niche, gaming, software, and there's not even a notation of laptops, like phones, other technology that you can review. I probably won't end up using it, but I have this small little like drawing pad here where I can like move things around, and I don't use it that often, but I think artists use these kind of things, And basically, you could have a whole site where you review these small drawing devices and have a whole niche around that. If you're an artist and maybe you use iPads and other devices, other, not notebooks, but what do they call them? There's a general name, tablets, right? So if you use tablets and other drawing devices, you can focus all your effort on the artistic application of it versus using tablets for business applications. So that's just a quick example where you could niche down and find your interest of art and technology and focus solely on that. And then you'll be the person that people turn to. And you could have a much bigger platform. You can have a podcast and a YouTube channel on top of a blog and have everything work together really well. Okay, I'm going to hop back to the chat here, see if we have any questions before we move on to the next slide. All right. Okay, Vika says you have a niche where an individual company pays you 10% commission, where Amazon pays 3%. The product range are 100 to 500. For whom should I become an affiliate? Well, the only real way, so Vika's question is very specific. You should most likely test, right? So if you're looking at the straight commission rate, then, well, it's obvious, work with the individual company. But there's a chance that the company doesn't have the same conversion rate. So you would literally have to test this, and that's the only way to really know. In fact, I would say even if you know someone in the same niche and they have a similar site, there's a strong chance that you should probably still test it on your own, because your site specifically might react a little bit different than someone else's. But if you're just looking at the straight percentages, obviously 10% is higher than 3, but I would say that you probably have to test. And Vika says, do non-Amazon sites convert well? It depends. How do you judge? You have to use real data. Yeah, you have to use real data. Nomad overseas, what's going on? And as we're going through... Right, and Bradbury says, I can tell you from experience that betting and casinos are grubby, untrustworthy industries when you're dealing with affiliation, even with bigger companies. I suspect that's true. I don't have any specific experience at all. I will say, I was sitting with my wife. She watches a lot of sports, so we were watching a football game over the weekend, a little NFL, and the number of sports and betting companies that are popping up is amazing. And now they're showing commercials and stuff. Like, I thought all this shit was illegal, but now you could bet, like, I guess no one cares. Now you can just bet online and it's fine. So I think you're probably right, Bradbury. Potentially it could be, you have to watch who you're dealing with, and probably make sure you're paid up front as much as possible and have very good terms. It probably could be tough to send, I guess, like, get leverage and make sure that you're actually paid after the fact. And Zachariah, what's going on? Okay. And Zachariah says, what do I think of a broad site but target a handful of low comp keywords? Sounds good. That's a great way to do it. And the only way to know is to test. I think sometimes if you are too broad, then Google might have a harder time understanding what your site is about. But if you are focusing, that is probably a good way to do it. All right, I'm going to jump back into the presentation here. I'll answer some of the other questions at the end, especially the irrelevant ones. So I will answer them, but I'll come back to them. All right, so now we're getting into some of this interesting data here. So this is from the Empire Flippers sales data. Since 2019, 300 sites were analyzed. Matt Diggity from Diggity Marketing did this analysis. So these are his conclusions, and full credit goes to him. You can check out his site if you want to. All right. So the thing is, we have the news and education niche is the highest average adjusted monthly revenue at 8,439 per month. So the notation here for adjusted, that is because there was another industry, and it was, I think it was like religion, and I didn't even spell that right, but the point is there were only two sites sold, and one of them was huge, so it skewed the data. So because of that, Matt threw out that data point, and after that, we ended up with the adjusted monthly revenue. So news and education was the highest adjusted monthly revenue. So does that mean you should go into education and news? Well, it depends. And we'll look at other data here, which all of it is interesting. None of it is contradictory necessarily, but it doesn't necessarily tell you you should go into this niche. So the main thing, and I opened with it, is you should probably think about your interest, what you understand, what you're good at, and then you can refer to some of this analytical data from real sites that were sold in the last couple years here. Next piece of information. So this graphic is directly from the blog post. So we have the other niches. We have finance, and this is in order here. So finance, bed and bath, medical, pet care, legal, food and beverage, survival, equipment, and business. So this is the average monthly revenue based on sites that were sold. All right, so this is sites that were sold. Obviously, I think it's obvious, there's a lot more sites that are not sold. So these are just the ones that were listed with Empire Flippers, but this is broken out by niche. Again, we've thrown out the religion one because the data was sort of skewed. There were only two sites sold. One was huge and one was very small. Okay. Next, the baking niche reports some of the lowest monthly revenue at $773 per month. Okay, so that is the lowest. So we have the highest being the news and education, and then baking is pretty low, which is a sub niche of sort of the food and maybe the home area, I would say. All right, next we have the medical niche, and that's the best ROI for content, right? Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to look at the data. So the best ROI on content. So the revenue content ratio was $33 per published page. So you earn more per page. So it's just another way to look at it. Now, the news and the education sites, they might earn more, but it's less per page. So again, it's very interesting data, but it doesn't leave you with a direct conclusion. So the office niche has the best ROI for link building with revenue per backlink of $5.61 per backlink. So if you're a link builder, and I did see a question about link building. So if you love building links and you sort of thrive on that, a lot of people, shy away from it. They're like, I'm not going to build any links. I want to, focus on content only. There's a whole other set of people that love building backlinks. So if you're a backlink builder, the office niche seems to work well. And if I think about this, and I think about some of the link building that I've done in the past, especially for a short time, right after I got laid off, I had a guest posting service. So this was like circa 2015, 2016, the end of 2015, I guess. And there were a lot of companies that were working with me, and it was relatively easy to get links in the sort of business niche because there's a lot of sort of general business sites, and the business sites or marketing or anything sort of under that broad umbrella, they realized the need for publishing content. So it was relatively easy to get backlinks on those kind of sites. Sometimes they have very high domain authority, domain rating, and just generally it's a powerful backlink. So, I mean, does that mean the office niche is the right one to go for? Well, it depends. Okay, next one, the survival and security niche reports the best ROI on time. So this is the time aspect. So revenue per hour of work. And again, these are sold websites by Empire Flippers. So when they onboard a site to be sold on the marketplace, they do a full analysis on the website, and they'll ask the person that's selling how much time they put in, how much time do freelancers and contractors put in, and they'll ask about ongoing expenses, whether it's technical or services or agencies that they're working with. So from that perspective, survival and security has a revenue per hour of $2,860 per hour. That sounds pretty good overall. I would do that all day. So it's a great turnaround. And I don't know specifically, I didn't look at this specifically. I don't know how many sites that were in the survival and security niche to make up that statistic, but that's a staggering amount per hour. Okay. Next one, we have a few more to go through, and I will come back and answer questions. Thanks for everyone asking questions. Okay. So non-Amazon sites earn the most compared to other monetization models with an average monthly revenue of $55.40. So these are non-Amazon sites that are affiliate. So my assumption is these are affiliate sites, but it's not Amazon. All right. So affiliate, but not Amazon. So going back to the question before, it depends on the specific company and industry and the website, their whole marketing funnel, right? So let's say you have a site that converts pretty well. You maybe cannot get their product on Amazon. Maybe they have great email marketing on their site. Maybe you have like a 90-day cookie, and maybe you get a 10% commission. Well, if they have everything dialed in and you have these terms, that's fantastic. You probably should try and work with them. Do dropshipping companies have everything set up like that? No, not necessarily. You have to work with the individual company. And the other thing, maybe they have an affiliate program that looks, like that. And that's what they advertise. But you start working with them and you can renegotiate the terms, right? You can go, and if you're selling stuff and you have a good relationship, you can ask for more. You can ask for, whatever you want, right? You have leverage, and if you have a good relationship, you can ask for, 13, 20%, whatever. Like, you could figure out the right way to work with a company. Okay, next one, we have Amazon Associates, right? So based on the last slide, you might think, well, you don't want to work with Amazon because it's not as profitable, right? The commission rates are low, whatever. However, Amazon Associate sites have revenue per content of $7.95 per published page. A lot of times when I talk to my friends, and this was especially true before Amazon changed the commission rates, when my friends had sites with display ads and I was talking about my sites with basically no ads and all review content, I was earning so much more on a per visitor basis and per page that we thought my data was wrong. So like I said, each one of these points is super interesting and doesn't lead you to a very clear conclusion. So if you are into certain monetization methods, that is it's totally fine. If you don't want to, because some people, usually inexperienced people that haven't started doing anything yet, they're like, I don't want to work with Amazon at all. But once you get started, or once you realize that just a shitload of people buy stuff through Amazon, you might relax your conclusions and be willing to work with any company that pays you. If you have, obviously, if you have some specific principles that you want to stand by and you're like, I don't want to work with Amazon because I don't like Jeff Bezos personally, or something like that. You can do whatever you want. I don't really care that much. But like I said, all this data doesn't lead you to a specific conclusion where you're like, oh man, it is a slam dunk. Okay, next. Non-Amazon affiliate sites command the best ROI for building links. Revenue per backlink of $1.54 per backlink. So another interesting piece of data, mostly around the backlink area. And I think that concludes the data. Again, shout out to Diggity Marketing and Authority Hacker for the information that we were able to look and think about here. So I'm going to come back and answer questions in a second. I'm going to take a quick break and let my voice rest. And this ad is from Otis. Thanks a lot to Otis Global. That's your source, my source for age domains with very strong branding. And we're going to look at a specific domain for this week, and that is called Change Strategist. So as you can see here, you get this nice logo. If you get this domain, it is actually a pretty reasonable price at about $1,500 at the time that I'm taking a look at it. And this is a domain. It was basically, it was a company that specialized in helping businesses develop strategies to improve revenue. So it's generally in the business area, which is a very profitable area, as you probably realize. And the company used the site to sell its own ebooks, and they promoted other management and business books. If we take a look over at the Wayback Machine, I always encourage you to take a look at the Wayback Machine. You'll see there's quite a history, and we can maybe take a look at one of these snapshots here. I'm going to go back to this time frame. Oh, that's 2021. So maybe we want to go back a little bit farther here, but we do see something here, and you could take a look. I like to go back a little bit farther. And this domain was created in 2008, so it's about 13 years old. Domain rating, as reported by Ahrefs, of 12 and domain authority of 26. So this is the older version. This is back from 2014, and you can see, well, it looks like a website from 2014. There's some different sort of graphics and styling, but in general, you get an idea what's going on. As normal with a domain like this, the big value is the referring domains and the links that you already have pointing to it. So there are 58 do follow referring domains from a variety of different websites. And we see Fast Company, we see Reich.com, which I think is a project management company, if I remember right, Tech News World, and many others. There's as you can see, a variety of different quality of the domains, but there is quite a bit out there. One thing I also like to look at is like the anchor text, just to see if it's what the branding is. And we can see most of the anchor text is branded around Change Strategist, which is generally good. That indicates strong branding. So you could have a look over here at Otis Global. If you do join using my affiliate link, you can get $100 into your account. And the good part with this kind of a general business domain, you could put all sorts of different kinds of reviews. So from a monetization standpoint, you could have software reviews. You could have like WordPress theme type reviews as well. And the great part with that type of an affiliate program is there, number one, there's so many of them, but number two, usually they pay a very high affiliate commission rate, where if you're working with, my bread and butter typically is Amazon Associates, that's a much lower commission rate, even though you do get the high volume. Some domain like this with general business, you have a lot of opportunities to partner with different companies, whether it's a software company, whether it's some sort of a business coaching situation, or just general online business. It would all fit within this domain. So thanks to Otis, and let's get back to the show. All right, so I'm back. I'm going to answer some questions now. And just a quick note, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would love it if you subscribed. If you're able to hit the thumbs up and vote this video higher, that's fantastic. And if you really like me, sign up for the email list. Go to nichesiteproject.com. There's links in the show notes. I send you a bunch of cool stuff, all my templates and systems and whatnot. So now I will answer questions, even the ones that are not super relevant to the topic today, which is choosing a niche, and we'll get into it. All right, I'm trying to catch up. Okay, so ODYS says, is, quote, speakers a good niche for beginners? So potentially, if you're into speakers. And what I would say is rewind, because earlier I gave what I thought was an effective speech on this question, where it's like, is blank niche good for beginners? Well, maybe if you're into it. If you don't know anything about the topic, then probably not. If you're interested in a topic and you're an expert in something that is actually competitive, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go into it because it's competitive. Maybe you're perfect. Maybe your voice is one that needs to be heard. Maybe it's something that's very interesting to you and that you're passionate about and that you can work on for years. So are speakers a good niche? Sure, it could be great. If you hate speakers, then no. Electronic Earnings asks if I'm in a garage. I am not. I'm in a basement. Actually talked about it just a few minutes ago. I was doing so good. And this is the studio down here. All right, Zach can ask, can I touch on backlinks? What's my paid free strategies to acquire them? Man, this for whatever reason, whenever I click on sharing the chat message, it like shows a different one. There's like some delay with it or something. All right, Zach asked about backlinks. Like free and paid strategies to acquire them. So I probably have no less than 20 videos on this. So I would recommend that you check those out. For free strategies, you can network within your niche and build relationships. That's the best way to get links that are good. For paid, you can go to any one of the agencies and services out there. There are almost unlimited. There, like if you start searching around, there must be 100 different companies that you can get paid backlinks from. So you can test them out. Cheesecake says, what are my opinions on the gambling tourism niches? I don't have a strong opinion on them. I would say if, refer back to my comments before, if you're into travel and tourism and you're into gambling, this is the perfect Venn diagram to fit your interest. So it would be a great way to turn it into a business. You could travel around and write off your expenses to your business. And then you could travel while saving on taxes a little bit. Maybe you could even write off your gambling expenses. I'm not sure. I would say those are probably pretty profitable areas to deal with. And one of the best ways to think about and to explore whether a niche is a good one is if you can find competitors. If there are people doing what you want to do already, or what you're thinking of doing, then it could be a great one because they're proving the model. They're showing you that they can earn money. All right. Silent G says, what about niches that require a lot of EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust, and maybe they're in your money or your life? Isn't it better to stay away from those niches even though they seem to be profitable? My general practice is to stay away from those. Yes. However, let's say you're a doctor. Let's say you're a dermatologist and then you want to have a site about skincare. Well, it turns out you're qualified for that and you do have the expertise that you might need. Could it be more competitive? Could a Google update come around and impact your site? Yes. So I would think about this as a longer term endeavor. So if you are thinking, I would do this anyway because it fits my expertise. I've been working my whole life on dermatology and I'm very into that. And if that is the case, then maybe it's a great one to go for. If you're thinking, hey, I want to make money fast and I don't really give a fuck about the topic, then yes, stay away from your money in your life and EAT, especially if you're a beginner and you're just trying to go in, earn some money, learn some things, maybe have a good time. Then I would probably stay away from those. And like I said, generally as a practice, I don't work in those areas. So a nomad overseas says, wouldn't it be difficult to run Ezoic ads on a site promoting betting, or have they loosened up their standpoint on that? So I can't comment on that specifically, but I would say yes. If you're in industries, like typically you'll run into issues with like the sex, porn industry, betting, gambling, Viagra, like some profitable industries, you'll run into issues if you're trying to monetize with sort of like the mainstream methods. It is probably a lot more profitable to monetize in a different way. So a nomad overseas, I would check directly with any of the companies. And I'm trying to like make this a generic piece of advice. So wherever you're trying to monetize, you should double check to see if they have any restrictions on the content or the topics that you cover, right? You might run into issues with, several different companies, whether it's Amazon or Google AdSense or Ezoic or Mediavine or whatever. Michael says, whichever niche I choose, I am able to find over 100 KGR keywords. My question is, should I still check the competition on the top page? Or should I start targeting those keywords and have patience? You should always check the competition. Always check the competition. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Michael Kahn says, do I think 200 KGR posts in 2021 can bring in over 10K revenue per month, like in 2016, if all the posts rank in the top 10? Well, there's a ton of factors, but I would say if all your posts rank in the top 10, you probably can make more than 10K per month. And I mean, the thing with the top 10, right? If you rank number 10 for everything, or you rank number 5 for everything, or you rank number 1 for half of them, or even 10%, like you may make a lot more if you rank higher for number 1. So this is hopefully it's obvious. This is just a hypothetical question. Basically, if you could rank well for a handful of terms, you could earn probably far more than you expect. Far, far more. I know, things have changed as far as the commission rates, 2016 versus 2021. But if you have a lot of traffic and it's a relatively expensive product, right? The other thing is, how much are the products? Are you selling books or are you selling camera lenses that are $400 a piece? All right. Zach says, I have a question about AI writers like Jarvis. What was my experience? I just answered this question. Will I use them exclusively from now on? My experience so far with AI type tools, which I've only tested probably like 6 months ago, played around with like 3 tools. They were not good. I wasn't impressed. I thought it was kind of garbage. And I thought, well, I'll come back in the future. I would refer to my friend Alex over at WP Eagle. He's done a lot more work with them. I think his live stream was on that. People seem to think these tools are pretty effective. Will I use them from now on? Probably not. I mean, based on what I just said, definitely not. But the fact, what I said before is I'm happy to pay like real life people good money to do good work for me. I'm not trying to like scrape by and pay as little as possible. I'm not trying, I should probably test the tools because people ask about it, but it's not something that I've spent much time on. I think what I've heard is the inputs are very important for using some of the AI tools. So with that in mind, maybe it's great for a first draft situation. All right, coming through here. Blah, blah, blah. And Michael says, I use Ahrefs for keyword research. Volume of keywords on Ahrefs will have the same volume as other keyword tools. 150 search volume on Ahrefs will have the same search volume on keywords everywhere. These seem to be statements with question marks on the end, so I don't actually know what you're asking here. And Michael, I think Adrian, much appreciated. I think Adrian posted a link to my KGR video playlist. So go watch those. So all your keyword questions, you could also go to nichesiteproject.com and there's a KGR section and then an FAQ section. Read those. I talk about search volumes and what you should care about and not care about so much. Content Voodoo, what's going on? Cheesecake says, what are my opinions on AliExpress affiliate? I have no opinion. I never used them. Stefan says, what do I think about lead generation websites? I have never played around with lead gen sites. I know they are, really popular in some circles, and I've heard about them really since I got started online. Like, wow, these lead gen sites are fantastic. Just, you could set up all these systems and have phone numbers forward directly to the vendors and contractors and whatnot to a local area. So I think they probably can work out well. I personally, this could be meaningful. I personally don't know anyone who actually has started working on creating a lead gen business and then kept doing it. I've talked to, 20 people who have gotten started and they were taking courses and they were trying to get the lead gen business going and they never were able to do it. So I know a ton of people that got started, but I don't know anyone that's actually doing it. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means the people that I know dabbled in it and never got traction with it. Okay, Growth Scouter says, do I think going into Amazon affiliate sites is a waste of time going forward? No, and I suspect, Growth Scouter, that perhaps you missed You missed this specific slide here that I can show you. So Amazon Associates, they reported a staggering revenue content ratio of $7.95 per published page, which was much higher than the other kinds of sites. So if you rewind the video and you take a look, we have all these cool pieces of data, and all of them have some positive or negative implication on different business models and different kinds of content. So I think Amazon, the fact is, the volume that Amazon sells is so much and the conversion rates are so high that even if the commission rates are lower, it's usually a very good way to monetize a website. They have so many products. Is it good to have other monetization methods? Absolutely. You should definitely look at other affiliate programs. I highly encourage people to look at digital products. So courses, online courses, software. Software is great. A lot of times there's an ongoing lifetime commission rate that's paid, and that is hugely valuable. So are Amazon affiliate sites a waste of time going forward? No. And I think if you're starting a site, you should think about display ads and affiliate commission rates. Whether you want to work with Amazon or something different, totally up to you. You might be in a space, like a quick example, like if you're thinking like of the travel industry, and maybe I have some friends that do the van life thing, right? So that would be a perfect one. You can have a huge platform, you can have a blog, you can have a YouTube channel, and a podcast, and people would consume your content across those 3 different channels. And you can sell products from Amazon, but you could also have relationships with travel companies that, not like travel agents or anything like that, but they can help you like book things or set up adventures or something like that. And, not only could you potentially get some of those services for free and check them out yourself so that you can create your content, but you can earn a commission from it. Maybe they just want to have ads on your podcast or your YouTube videos. So there's a ton of ways to monetize. And if you just go in and you're thinking, I just want to do reviews on these Amazon products, you're probably limiting yourself. So if you think about ads and you think about how you can work with companies and be partners, you're going to be way better off. Content says, I would love to hear about how you leverage info content and ads when starting a new site. Are you publishing info content first, let it age, and then hitting your site with affiliate content? No, I usually just sort of publish everything all together. And usually, like at this point, I'm publishing just a little bit more, maybe 60% informational content versus affiliate reviews. Michael says, how much monthly recurring revenue do your current sites make? I don't share any numbers these days. Do I use all KGR posts? The answer is no, I never have done that. I've never always used KGR posts. Do I build links? Yes, I do. And I don't share my revenue. I never have. I've shared certain pieces for certain projects. And, one thing, like when I first started, I followed Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income, and he published his income reports, and it was very popular. I think he was one of the earlier folks to publish his income reports. And then a lot of other people were doing it. And I tried to do that a little bit, but I never quite kept up with it. And what happened with Pat is at some point, and this was kind of when I was following him, right? So I went back and I'm like, oh, cool, income reports. Well, he was starting to make like $50,000, $60,000 a month. and it was unrelatable. So I'm not even sure if he still publishes his income reports, but at some point he's making like millions of dollars per year. And it's not only unrelatable, but it's kind of like, oh, what's even happening? Like, I don't, it's not helpful. It doesn't like show the connection of like how you, when you're first starting out, how you can actually like follow in those footsteps. It's too big of a jump, and it's generally unrelatable. And I actually have another podcast. It's called Mile High Fi, and I talk about personal finance with my co-host, Carl Jensen. I'm not even sure if there's a link in the description. I need to make sure I have it on my other videos, but Carl publishes his net worth, and he started his blog in 2013, and he's been publishing it since the beginning. And the thing is, after a while, it becomes unrelatable. So he still publishes his net worth. He's thinking of maybe not doing it, but at this point, his net worth is like over $5 million. When he started, it was, I don't even know. It was like 200,000. I'm not sure. But the point is, at some point it's unrelatable and it doesn't help people. People are like, oh, fuck, $5 million. Like, well, that's a lot. So I don't share my net worth. I don't share my income. And I'm okay with that. I've shared certain pieces. Okay. Content Voodoo says, could I break down how you start your multi-profit sites? Yeah. So this will be broad and somewhat not helpful. But I'll answer anyway. So I would say number one, go to Niche Site Project. There's a whole section on like starting a niche site. If you print it out, I think it's something like 90 pages or something like that. It's all there. It's all free. I think if you sign up for the email list, you can actually download the whole PDF and then you can just read it during your free time. But here's the broad strokes. You pick your niche. You find a bunch of keywords. Sometimes those kind of go together. I wouldn't find like a crazy number. I would find like maybe like 50 keywords, something like that. If you could find 50, you could find a lot more. What I don't recommend is trying to find like 500 keywords before you get started. You only need like a handful. It's not like you're going to be able to write 500 articles in even a year, right? I mean, that's pretty tough. So you just need a handful. Get hosting, put the site together, start publishing content, and promote the site. Maybe do some networking. Maybe do some backlink, just outreach. Maybe you go to a company. And that is the general idea, Content Voodoo. And all right. And Zach, I think I already answered your question about paid and free backlink strategies. Go watch the other videos. All right. Mac says, oh, Mac, what's going on? Good to see you, buddy. Is the truck accessories niche a good one, meaning promoting things like a cover, tire, winch, etc.? I think so. And I mean, you could even, there's so many accessories, and even just going back to the travel and like the van life thing, like there's people that like build and convert their trucks, their pickup trucks, into campers, and there's tons of accessories around that. I mean, you could really go broad and have like a van life, truck life sort of lifestyle blog all related to a truck. So I would say it probably is good. And I think there's probably a good opportunity to work with specialty companies that do high-end accessories. Because let's face it, right? Like if you're getting something for your truck and it's a very specific item and you need it to be durable and heavy duty, and you're putting it on your, your 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton truck, probably not going to go to Amazon and order a piece of shit, right? Like you don't want to get like the cheapest item. You want a heavy duty, fucking made in the USA. Like, I have a Ford truck, so if you have a Toyota, some other truck, that's cool. But anyway, if you are buying something that is potentially going to last a lifetime, you may not order it on Amazon. you maybe want to get something better. And then you would order from a company where you can call them up and say, hey, I have this specific model. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. So yes, Mac, I think that's probably a good one. Oh, Max says, am I still using an HTML table generator for a product table? Is a table necessary? Tables aren't like, tables are good. There are many solutions out there for tables now. So generally, I do like an HTML, like straight, no frills situation, but I don't have an issue if you're using a plugin potentially that integrates, sorry, if you're using a plugin, maybe like a link management type plugin that will build a table for you, that is totally fine. All right, Usman says, what should be the strategy for a new website in terms of SEO and how to scale considering a futuristic approach? I don't know if I have a good answer for this. So the strategy for a new website in terms of SEO, well, look, it's the same shit. It's the same shit from like a few years ago. So it's based in keyword research. Got to make sure people are searching for stuff and high quality content. So kind of boring. Boring stuff tends to work. It's like dieting or working out. Eat a little bit less, maybe eat higher quality foods, go to the gym more, lift heavier weights. It's simple stuff. It's the same simple stuff. So good content, high quality, solid keywords. Maybe have a look at your competitors and see what kind of content they have. Can you fill in the gaps and make it a little bit better? As far as scaling using a futuristic approach, I'm not sure what you mean by futuristic, but scaling would just generally mean probably hiring people to do the writing for you and just publishing more. I think one of the best pieces to your team that you could add is probably an editor or someone that could help you format the content. So if you have writers working for you and you're the person that's formatting everything, it's a huge time consuming thing. So if you can get someone to do that, you could probably publish a lot more. If you can get a few people to do that, you could publish tons more. Michael Kahn says, how much traffic can a 90 volume search term bring if you rank in the top 5? Any approximation? No approximation. So the thing with search volumes, Michael, is they are estimates. So even, Ahrefs and some of the other tools, they'll give you, to the nearest 10, right? So 90, 100, 110, 120, right? Some tools will give you a specific number like 87. And even though they're very precise, it's not accurate. These are just estimates based on historical data. And it varies month to month as well. So some of the tools will give you like the average over 12 months, and then they'll actually show you, if you look into the data deeper, the search volume per month, and you may see that there's a big seasonal situation going on. When you consider that these are estimates, and then you consider the fact that your specific term, let's say it's best wireless mouse, if you have a term like best wireless mouse, you might get traffic to your website where people are searching for best wireless mouse for travel, best wireless mouse for college, best wireless mouse for elementary school, best wireless mouse for iPad, and fill in the blank, right? You might get traffic from dozens of long tail keywords that are associated with a keyword that gets 90 searches per month. When that happens, you might get thousands of visitors per day to that post, right? That's an extreme example. But the fact is, it's just an approximation for that specific keyword phrase. it doesn't mean that you won't get traffic from other keywords, especially long tail keywords. If it happens to be a topic that gets really broad and there's tons of these long tail keywords, you may get a huge amount of traffic. And if you go and check out some of the success stories on the channel, which there are hundreds of hours of this stuff, Michael, so if you can't find it, I can't blame you, but there's plenty of examples where people get traffic on a page that is targeting a zero volume keyword. In the chat, let me know. Have you had any huge traffic numbers for a zero search volume keyword? So a lot of times what happens is people will go after a zero search volume term, and that'll be their highest traffic page. And it blows them away. And the reason why is it's a zero search volume term for that specific phrase, but there's all these other long tails that'll bring in traffic. So how much traffic can you get from a search term that gets 90 searches per month? I have no idea. You might get zero, or you could get thousands. Okay, I'm way behind in the chat, so I'm going to try and catch up and go a little faster. Zach says, I've read on the Black Hat forum, when using Medium and Quora for content marketing, we shouldn't paste our articles. These platforms may outrank our blog. You have ideas on this? I don't know. I don't use Medium or Quora. I wouldn't worry about it. And Syed says, just a net worth can be really inspiring, but I've benefited much from you, Doug. Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate that. If you want to get inspired, you can go check out my friend's blog. It's 1500 Days. He publishes net worth from, the inception of the blog. But yeah, that's not something I'm interested in doing. So yeah. All right. Usama says, I'm on the last steps to launch a site in the relationship niche. What do I think about this niche? It's a broad one, but I'll start with specific sub niche and then go upward. So Usama, what are you looking for from my response on this one? So the relationship niche sounds uninteresting to me. I would never have a blog in that space because me personally, that is not one that I'm interested in. But let me hop back and look at some of the other information here, especially I think the authority hacker guys. Okay, so these are a concise list of great niches. Let's see if relationship is in here. So was that lifestyle? Da, 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 da. So Mike, actually, let's turn it around. So Usama, question to you: How are you planning on monetizing? How are you planning on monetizing the site? Are you aiming for affiliate relationships or just ads, or do you have some other mechanism? So, like I said, for me, right, a relationship niche wouldn't be a good one for me, but maybe for you, it's fantastic. I think there's probably some ways that you could monetize really well. And, just ads, right? Like you can have a lot of page views on your site and you can earn a lot from ad revenue. As far as the, just generally thinking of like products, I don't know of like specific products, like physical products, which is usually what I think about, but there could be a lot of courses and other things where people are, kind of looking at a personal improvement, personal development kind of area. So those could be good. But yeah, if you have a specific question, let me know. Cheesecake says, do table of contents prevent featured snippets from showing up on Google? Not that I know of. I'm not an expert in the featured snippet area, but not that I know of. I have not heard anything related to that. Michael says, being a software developer, I'm building my first SaaS and planning to launch via the KGR. Do I think it can work for long term since it's not affiliate marketing? Sure. KGR can bring in traffic and it'll work for any industry. It doesn't matter like what product you're aiming for. If people are searching for it, then it's a way that you can narrow down your keywords and go for low competition. Jamie, what's going on? Good to see you. Eduardo, what's up? All right. Michael says, am I doing something wrong? I just make an article around the KGR keyword. That's it. I write the article naturally. I don't try and find other LSI keywords and embed them in the article. Is this way good? Sure. That seems fine. I mean, I typically don't do any I don't do any LSI research, and yeah, if you write normally, that's a good way to go. Okay. And okay, Osama says you're very aware of the niche and the pandemic created real problems regarding the relationship. Cool. And a lot of people are struggling with breakups and they're looking to get things fixed. Just Google the term how to get my ex back and you'll get a great insight on the niche. Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds, that is I think I've seen like products and ebooks around that. So I think that's probably something. I mean, I would almost feel bad like trying to sell shit to those people, but yeah, if it helps people, great. But yeah, getting your ex back probably not the best idea. Oh, Tyler, what's up from Denver? Yep, I'm out of Longmont here. It was a little cooler today. I'm enjoying the just a little bit cooler. We got a little rain today, which is great. I'm gonna have to blow out the sprinklers here in the next couple days because it's getting colder. We got a nice blanket of snow in the front range here, so it looks nice out. Jamie says, how many sites do I have going? About 5-ish or so. And a couple of them I ignore. I don't have, I'm not big on the sort of portfolio approach. I know some of my friends, actually in hindsight, because I'm referring back for a couple years here, I had a friend and he was like, I'm going to start a new site like every quarter or so. And he did that for a couple years. And he got burned out and stressed out and he built a team and had everything kind of running. But each one of those sites has overhead. And even if it's very small and even if you have a team of people, each one of those sites has a little weight, a little cost to your brain. So I've worked over the last couple of years to thin the number of projects that I'm working on and really like focus in on the stuff that I like working on. Especially here in the last year or so, I've just, stepped away from projects, turned a lot of things down, a lot of like good projects, a lot of good opportunities. But what happens, hopefully this is slightly inspiring or insightful, but before you get started, so along the way, before you get started, before you know anything, you're like, oh, is this even possible? I saw a comment on a video that I published yesterday where someone was like, I don't know if I'm inspired or frustrated by hearing a success story because it seems like, that person got lucky or that person had a lot more advantages than I have. And we could always find like those situations or some excuse or something like that. And in the beginning, you're thinking, is this a scam? Can I actually earn some money? Once you get started, once you earn a few dollars, you're like, oh, wow, this works. And maybe when you make a few $100s, you're thinking, I have a huge opportunity. I see opportunities all over the place. I want to start so many new sites because I see all these great keywords. And then you start building one site per quarter. And the next thing you know, you're going after opportunities that are just good. So like I said, I turned down many good opportunities recently, but it turns out, and I've done this for a few years now, so I do see a lot of good, fine opportunities will come up. And if the timing's not right, or if I'm not thinking this is absolutely amazing, I'm going to turn it down now. I said yes to many of those over the years, but it ends up, after you do it for a little while, you see there's always new opportunities, and you'll see some on your own, and it's really important to. I think it's really important, at least for me, to realize like, hey, I don't want to like waste my time and brain power on a good opportunity. I want to go after the dramatically amazing, like this is a fantastic thing to get into. And there's sort of, there are like disproportional rewards at the end of that opportunity versus like just a good opportunity. So all that said, I only have a few sites. I'm probably going to get rid of a couple in the next year, something like that. Okay, Michael, what do I think about writing 800 to 1,000 posts, all KGR, over 1 year? What power can it bring in terms of revenue and authority of a site? And what can happen if I post all 800 in a month and wait 8 to 10 months to bake all the articles and wait like Christy did? Okay, so Michael, all of your questions are too specific and impossible to answer. In fact, if anyone said with any amount of certainty what would happen if you did all the things that you're describing, I would call BS, and they don't know what's going to happen. So your questions are too specific. And Michael, it sounds like you're in a spot where, you said you're going to do a software product, you're going to launch it, you want to use KGR. So at the place where you're at, all the things that you're talking about are fantastic. You got to get started, and you need to make a little progress each day and then keep going forward. So will it work? I have no fucking idea. No one knows. For any of these projects, whether it's a small site or if it's a bigger one and you're aiming for like 1,000 articles in a year or something like that, we don't know if it's going to work. So you're going to learn things along the way. And in 1 month, you'll have a different perspective than you do right now. And then each month along the way, or each week along the way, you'll learn a little bit more. You'll have more data coming in. So will that work? I don't know. But you'll know more as you go along, as you try to implement. And you just have to get started and get moving. No one will be able to give their blessing and say, yeah, if you do that, it's definitely going to work. No one knows. All right. Jamie says, my favorite things are success stories and learning from those people. It's the most motivating stuff. Cool. I'm looking to get, more. I just finished traveling, which is where I picked up my illness. Actually, I took the whole month off. I took September off, basically. It was great. Then I got sick. Luckily, it was the end of the month. I got sick. And the point is I do a lot of interviews like right before I end up going on a trip, and then or time off. And I didn't do a good job like sort of staggering the interviews and stuff. But yeah, I'm actually going to probably send an email out in the next couple weeks and just ask for new success stories, like people that I haven't talked to before. All right. I think I made it to the end of the questions. So that is awesome. Thanks everyone for hopping in. I am going to start doing these live streams on Tuesdays. So it seemed to work pretty well because I went after Alex and I know he shifts his schedule a little bit. It's been sort of in churn, and I used to do Wednesdays around lunchtime, but I think I'm going to aim for this sort of later Tuesday afternoon, and maybe I can sort of get the sloppy seconds after Alex does his live stream. And actually I should have him on again soon. It's been a little while. So if you dig these, you can subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, but who knows if that's going to work anyway. It only works like half the time. So if you haven't signed up for the email list, you can go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email. I'll send you all the stuff. The final question here is from Zach. He says, there's someone on YouTube and he says blogs are overdone and need care. He said, do business directories, 5-page sites. What do I think? I don't know. I think, so the subtext of that question is blogs are overdone and need care. So it sounds like the subtext is I don't want to do much work. And I would say if you can find good examples, so back to the sort of competition analysis situation, if you can find good examples of business directories that are 5 pages and that are earning good money, then I would explore that idea. To my knowledge, I don't know of 5-page websites that are directories that are making a lot of money. So to be fair, I haven't looked into that, but it sounds a little too good to be true. So I don't know. But I would explore the business model if you're interested in that stuff. And so many of it's tough, right? Because so many of the questions that come in are related to like, how do I do the minimum amount of work and earn the most money in the shortest amount of time? And those are, that's a tough question to answer. I think just exploring if you could find the proven business model out there, maybe check that out. But yeah, it sounds lazy just in the sentence that you mentioned. All right, that's it for today. We'll catch you next week or maybe even sooner. I haven't done live streams in a while, so I may hop on more often, but I might not also. Okay, have a good one.